Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I am Penny. I am a gymnastics coach as well as a personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach and nutritionist. Today we're going to be doing a follow along strength session. And all you're going to need for this session is a set of dumbbells or adjustable dumbbells and a long resistance band. Let's get going. Kicking things off with a warm-up superset. We're going to be doing 2 exercises back to back. We're going to do 2 rounds with me. However, I do recommend doing 3 rounds of warm-up if you do have time. But I always try to make these workouts good for a 30 to 40 minute training session, so we want to keep things moving nice and quick, so that's why we're only going to do 2 rounds. We're going to start lying down on our back. We're going to be doing a single leg glute bridge. This is one of my go-to exercises. So we're doing single leg glute bridge. You can do a few different variations with how you want to have your free leg. I'm going to show you the ones that I prefer, and then you can do the one that suits you. We're going to be doing 10 reps each leg. So lying down on your back, putting that supporting leg flat on the floor. You can have your arms either side and your leg up to the ceiling if that feels comfortable for you. You can also rest that leg on your opposite knee. However, I'm going to be doing the version where we pull our knee into our chest. I like this one because it takes spine extension out of the exercise, so it really isolates your glute and your hamstring, driving that extension of your hip. As I said, we're doing 10 reps each leg. I like to think about pressing that supporting foot through the floor as if I'm trying to make an imprint of the sole of my foot in the floor. And I like a pause at the top, not a full 2-second pause, but we want to show a lot of strength in that extended position. By the time we get to those 10 reps, you should start to feel your glute and your hamstring waking up. This is my less dominant side and my less flexible side. So you might notice that I have a slightly smaller range of motion on this side, especially because, as I said, we're not using the spine to continue and increase that extension. This is what it looks like if my knee isn't pulled to my chest. So I just get a slightly larger range of motion. And as I said, you can do the version that suits you. That's our first exercise. We're going to jump straight into our second exercise, which is a scap push-up paired with an arm raise. Really love scap push-ups. For someone coming from someone who has a history of shoulder injury, for a long time I didn't really have much awareness of where my shoulder blades were and where they should be. I really like scap push-ups because they do show your full range of motion in those shoulder blades in this position. And then we're going to add a stability element with the arm extension and an active mobility element, you'll see. So we go to a push-up position. Now, if you have wrist issues, you can do this in a plank on your elbows. However, we're going to be doing it in a push-up position, and you are going to have your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your feet are going to be just about hip width apart, and that's to help when we do that arm extension part of the exercise. So we're going to come up onto hands and feet. What we're going to do is let our chest sink towards the floor and let our shoulder blades come towards our spine, and then press those shoulder blades away from your spine, and that chest is going to come that little bit up and away from the floor. So we're going to do, oops, I forgot part of it. We're going to do 6 reps. So we're going to let the chest sink, press away, then we're going to do an arm raise on each side. Sink, press away, raise that arm. That's 2 reps. Now when we're doing the scap push-up, you'll notice that my arms stay straight. This is not a normal push-up. We are not using our elbows. And I want you to think about, even though your chest is sinking, I want you to think about keeping your ribs lifted so that lower back does not collapse. I think we might be done. That might have been 7 reps. So that's round 1 done. We're gonna get straight into round 2. Okay, back down onto your back, pulling that knee into chest if that's the version you're doing. 10 reps. Remembering that we want to really press through the floor with that foot to try and get that hip up as high as you can. And when it's extended, I want you to imagine if someone were to come and push on your hip to try to get it back down again, you would be able to resist that. So you want to have a lot of strength in that extension position. Other side. Nice and pressing that hip up to the ceiling, no rushing. And once again, if you are doing the version without your knee to your chest, we do want to try to ensure the movement is coming from your hip, driven by your glute and your hamstring, not coming from your ribs and your lower back. Back into that push-up position for our scat push-up to arm reach. So as I mentioned in the first round, hips are going to be pressing down, ribs are pulling up, and that creates a nice locked out core. As I said, this can be done on elbows, so sinking down, and then the reach is a little bit more challenging when you're doing it on your elbows. If you need to spread those feet a little bit wider for a bit more stability, that's fine. And you can do it on your knees as well if it's a little bit too intense in that push-up position. All right, warm up done. We're gonna get straight into our strength component. We've got 2 strength circuits today. So that is 3 exercises in the first circuit, 3 exercises in the second circuit, and we're going to be doing 3 rounds together. But as always, if you have time for a 4th or a 5th round, please go ahead and do that because you're only going to gain. Getting into our first lower body strength exercise. We're going to be continuing on from that theme from our warm-up with the glute bridge into a single leg hip thrust. I think this is one of the most humbling exercises, particularly for me because I have a bit of anterior pelvic tilt. So that's where when you are standing, you have a little bit of a angle in the front of your hips and kind of your bottom sticks out a little bit. I don't have like a flat front line of my hip very often. And that is partially because of my build, because I do have a tummy and I do have a bum, but it is also partially because of my mobility. So because hip extension, which is where we lift and flatten through the front of our hips, because that is a bit of a weakness for me, single leg hip thrusts I find really challenging. But me being a personal trainer, of course, I like those exercises that are challenging because I can really feel them working. So you're going to take your dumbbell. This one is 7 kilos. This may be too heavy for me. We will see. You don't need to use a dumbbell for this exercise to begin with. If you are not used to doing hip thrusts or single leg hip thrusts or glute bridges, starting with body weight might be the right way to go. Then you're going to need some kind of bench or block or box. If you don't have a box, you can do this on a chair, and I would just put a cushion over the edge of the chair, or you can do it on the edge of the couch. Couch is probably a really good height. I'm very short, and so I like quite a low box. You'll see a lot of people hip thrusting in gyms, and they use the bench at a gym, and personally, that drives me crazy because it is probably about as tall as my shoulder. And you'll see when I do these that when you put your back on the box, you want to get a really good anchor point. You don't want to always be slipping down, especially if you do end up doing a barbell hip thrust where you have a fair amount of weight in your hips. So I prefer a lower box setup. I could probably go a little bit higher. I do have a box topper, so I can show you that after this. But I would prefer lower over too high. And if you don't have anything that would work, you can just do your glute bridge like we did in warm-up, and you can pop a weight on your hip in exactly the same position. So supporting leg is going to come up and bend, and then probably the comfiest option is to just prop your dumbbell over that hip. You can, same as our single leg glute bridge, you can pop your knee or your foot up on your opposite knee. You can have your leg free. I'm going to be doing it with my knee pulled into my chest. And if you are struggling with balance or it's a little bit too intense, you can just pop your second foot out in front, which I'll also show you, like the B stance deadlift that we did last week. It's called a B stance, and it means that the weight is going through this leg primarily, like 90% of the weight. This leg is helping with stability and maybe a smidge of lifting, and you're in control of that. Okay, so upper back is propped up on the box. One thing that I see with hip thrusts, especially in gymnasts, is there's a lot of extension and flexion of the spine as we're going up and down. I am just going to get into this a little bit because it's not actually how the exercise is most effective. If your spine is flexing, same as when we did our glute bridge, that actually means that the muscles that extend the hip probably aren't being isolated as much. So we keep our eyes straight ahead. We think about keeping our chin tucked to our chest. I'll show you a hip thrust. You might be able to see a little bit more clearly what I'm talking about. And then the spine should stay in the same shape. So we don't want to have our spine arching or flexing as we're lifting up. I like to tuck my tailbone under before I lift because I do have a tendency to overwork through my lower back, and that tucking my tailbone lengthens out my lower back. It's a really great cue for getting ready to use your hips primarily, and I find that it switches my lower back off a little bit because I want to isolate the glutes and the hamstrings. So I do a little tailbone tuck, then I press through my feet and then lift my hips up. So you'll see as I'm coming up and down, that spine is rigid. It is not arching and flexing, okay? You'll see as well at the top of my hip thrust that I'm trying my hardest to get a straight line from my knees through my hips to my shoulders. However, for me, that's quite challenging. It's really hard for me to get that last little bit of hip extension. But what we're looking for with hip thrusts is to get the hips up, not the ribs up. So a cue that I like to use is try to get your hips higher than your ribs, because once again, we're really trying to isolate the hamstrings and the glutes to make those hips extend. We're trying not to use the spine for extension. Okay, so that's hip thrusts. However, as I said, we're doing single leg hip thrust. If single leg is too intense for you, as I said, you can drop down to single leg glute bridge, or you can do hip thrusts with body weight or with your dumbbell just on both hips. If single leg is too challenging, that's a great regression, but we're going to be doing single leg. So as I said, I'm going to pop the dumbbell over that hip. My eyes stay pointing forward. My chin stays tucked. I'm not throwing my head back as I lift my hips up. Pulling my opposite knee into my chest, flat foot throughout, so that when we get to that extended position, ideally the shin is vertical. So the knee should be right above the ankle once we've lifted up. You guys can have a look and see if my foot positioning is correct. And we're doing 8. So pressing, same as when we were doing that glute bridge. We're pressing that foot through the floor as if we're trying to make an imprint in the floor. And I like to hold that top position for a beat. And then we don't want to just plop down. We're controlling down. And then swapping to the other side. Notice this is my less flexible side, so I may not be able to get quite the same amount of hip extension on this leg. Keeping your chin tucked, keeping the spine rigid, pausing at the top, and that's that done. On to our second strength exercise of this circuit. Next up, we have a seated banded row. I have got a long, heavy resistance band, but you can use a TheraBand, you can use a lighter band, you can use the loop bands that have handles on the ends. If you don't have one that's heavy enough, you can double up those loop bands if you get a kit of them. And then you just need something to anchor them to. When I do this at home, I anchor it to like a stair post or a fence post. Here, I'm going to anchor it to the weight tree because it's just really, really easy. And then we're going to sit down in a narrow straddle position. If you do struggle with flexibility sitting in this position, this is part of the reason why we're doing this exercise, but you can lift your knees up and bend your knees, or you can pop yourself up on a bench or a chair and you can do it sitting on a chair. It's literally called seating row. I just do it seated row. I just do it on the floor because it's convenient. Okay, we're going to reach our hands down the band to where you feel tension on the band, but it shouldn't be stretching your hamstrings and it shouldn't be pulling our chest forward. We're going to let our shoulders relax down, but we want to have a nice tall spine. So definitely no hunching. We want to be very conscious of having really good posture here, but not to the point where we're trying to lift our collarbones up to the ceiling, okay? So nice tall spine, letting those shoulders fall down towards our glutes. And then we're going to actively pull them down towards the floor. Very subtle, but I want to see those shoulder blades pulling down towards the floor so we don't have traps up near our ears, okay? Little bit of tension on the band, so the band should not be floppy like that, okay? The band should be pulling those arms straight. Then we're going to think about drawing the elbows straight back, and the hands are going to come to either side of our belly button. We're going to do 12 reps. Now, the thing with bands to keep in mind is the further you stretch them, the more challenging it becomes. So the further back we go, the harder we're working to keep that band stretched. The closer to the anchor point we go, the less we're working to keep that band stretched. So that is a slight flaw for this exercise, but not really a problem. I do just want you to make sure that you do have those hands as far forward as you can get them, whilst being able to do the 12 reps. So as we're pulling the elbows back and bringing those hands to either side of our belly button, we're thinking about tall spine, shoulders pulling down towards our glutes, but then as the elbows are pulling back, we're pulling the shoulder blades towards our spine as well. Remembering whenever we use bands that we don't just let the band wildly recoil, we control that extension back to the start position. We'll do 2 more because, as usual, I forgot to count. Okay, that's our second exercise in our circuit. We've got 1 more exercise and we can do it right here. It is a side plank. So I'm going to do it on the floor. If you do have a really hard floor, you might want to get a towel or a cushion or under your elbow. Lots of variations when it comes to side plank. So I'm going to show all of them, and we're going to hold for 10 to 30 seconds. You do the length of time and the version that suits you. So we're going to set our elbow up on the floor, extend our body out to the side. And we want to make sure our elbow isn't all the way down near our hip. It should be vertically underneath our shoulder, and that can be a little bit tricky. Might take a little bit of practice to just work out where that right position is when you get started. Then Easiest version is here. I'm going to pop that top hand on our hip and we're just lifting that bottom hip off the ground. Trying to keep a nice straight line, so we don't want to have our knee out in front like that. We don't want to have our body tilting forward. We've just got as if we've just been squashed between 2 pages of a book. If you're having a little bit of shoulder discomfort, you can try thinking about setting your shoulder up nice and solid, so almost pressing away from your spine a little bit, and that generally does tend to activate things and make things a little less squishy and crunchy. But if you have any issues there, definitely something to get checked out. So that's the easiest version. Step up from here is feet staggered. Then we've got feet stacked. I do flex feet because it helps you balance. And then most challenging version is a star, where that top leg pushes up to the ceiling. We're going to swap over to the other side. I'm going to do, for this round, feet stacked version. Kicking off in 3, 2, 1. And as I said, I'm going to be aiming to hold for 30 seconds. You can get to 10, that's great. 20, even better. 30 seconds, absolutely amazing. If you can get to 30 seconds and it is a cakewalk, then try a harder version. And if you can do 30 seconds of that star position, fabulous work. That's max. We don't need to extend beyond that. I'm going to assume we're up to about 20. We'll go for 10 more seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's round 1 done. Let's get into round 2. Hello. Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to be too high for my liking. First round, I was using 7 kilos, and that was pretty comfortable. So I've just grabbed an 8 kilo dumbbell. So we're going to see how we go with that. If you are at home and you do have a range of dumbbells, the goal is for you to get to your 8th rep and feel like you couldn't do more than 2 more reps. So you've got to be getting close to your limit. If you're not feeling that, then you can, and you don't have the option to increase weight, then you can do more reps so that we're getting the muscle fatigued. But ideally, the rep range that we're using is to help develop muscle strength as opposed to muscular endurance, which comes when we do those high rep ranges. But we don't need to get into that nitty gritty. It is not a big deal. So round 2, I've got an 8 kilo dumbbell, bringing that knee, I don't think I like this height, into my chest. We're doing 8 reps. 2, 3, remembering to really press into that top position and get it really solid, so that if someone was to come and try to push you back down again, hopefully you'd be able to resist that pressure. Cool. Other side. Taking a little breath. Breathing whilst I train is one of my biggest challenges. Just full disclosure. All right. Here we go. 1, 2. Also, talking 4 whilst I lift is tricky. 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I like the lower setting. I don't feel like I have a really good ridge to really anchor off of. So I think on the next round I'm going to ditch the topper over to our banded seated row. Also, I haven't introduced her before, but this is my fur child, Ruby. She's a 2-year-old toy cavoodle, and I get separation anxiety if I leave her at home. No, she absolutely loves coming into the gym and playing. We play fetch. Okay, spine nice and tall, reaching forward and grabbing that band further forward. If you do have a long enough band, you can double up. If you want to make it harder, move yourself a little bit closer. However, I don't think I would be able to do. Okay, I'll try 12 reps. All right, spine nice and tall, shoulders dropping down, shoulder blades pulling down towards our glutes. We've got 12 reps. Ooh, we'll see how I go. 3, 4, remembering we're trying to pull those hands not up to our ribs, which I'm kind of struggling with right now because the anchor point is a little bit high, but to either side of our belly button. So that if you think about how we're pulling those shoulders down, the most efficient movement pathway is to there. If our hands are up here, we're not in a very powerful position, and our shoulders get hinged forward a little bit, which they tend not to like. So we're trying to think about hands to either side of our belly button. As usual, I don't know what I'm up to. Let's do 2 more reps. Okay, that was challenging. Straight into our side plank. This time I'm going to see if I can do the star version, and I'm going to be smart and I'm going to set up a timer for 30 seconds, kicking off in 3, 2, 1. Okay. The issue with side plank is, especially if you do this version, it works the underside, but if you're doing the leg extended version, it also works the top side. So when you switch to the other side, the top side is pre-fatigued. So the second side that you do tends to be a little harder than the first side. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let's see how I go with the other side. Whew. Finishing up round 2 after this side plank. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 30 seconds here. Remembering we want to have a nice solid shoulder position that's stacked. We don't want to have our body tilting forward or tilting backwards. We want to pretend we've been squashed between 2 pages of a book. 10 more seconds. We want to keep a nice straight line through the hips. So feet should be in line with your elbow. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Tricky. Round 2 done. On to round 3. Getting rid of the topper. Because I feel much stronger with the boxes at this height. Then I have swapped out my 8 for a 10 because I don't have 9s. So I'm going to see how we go with 10 kilos. Final round. Getting set up. Remembering you can add that tailbone tuck at the start of the exercise if you're feeling that lower back working hard. Also, doing the version where your knee is pulled into your chest is going to hopefully isolate the glute and the hamstring and stop the lower back working so hard. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I almost accidentally did more reps then. That means I should probably have a heavier weight, I reckon. Okay. Other side. Actually, I will quickly show you. If you do have other weights, such as kettlebells, you can definitely use them. So, it's going to be a little bit clunky, but we're doing our best. We can make it work. Pop the kettlebell on your hip. Might need to adjust like the angle. Other knee into your chest. And just using that hand to hold it in position. 5, 6, ooh, 7, 8. Oh, not my perfect set of reps because The glute was feeling it. Are you proud of me? Hey? Oh, thank you. It's nice to get rewarded when you finish a set. Okay, let's finish off this circuit with our seated row and side plank. Another option, if you do have more than one band, is to use 2 bands, or I'll show you after. You can use a band, 2 different weight or strength bands at the same time. I'll show you that in a second. We'll see how I go with 12 reps here. So remembering tall spine, we're not letting the torso move. We're keeping that body nice and still. So the arms and shoulders are the driving force of the movement. 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you wanted to double up and use 2 different weighted bands, you just pop the heavy one and the lighter one together and grab each in your hands. All right, finishing off with our side plank. I'm gonna start on the opposite side this time. Kicking off in, my time is still there. 3, 2, 1. We've got, didn't start, 30 seconds. We're trying to breathe calmly. Really solid body position. Same thing, if someone was to come and push you, hopefully you would not fall over. You want to feel really strong in that position. Just past the halfway mark, remembering that if 10 seconds is where you're at, that's totally fine. And 3, 2, 1. If 30 seconds is too easy, you can extend it longer. But as I mentioned previously, one of the goals of this training session is to get it done nice and quick and efficiently. So that's why, part of the reason why we're only holding for a maximum of 30 seconds. All right, other side in 3, 2, 1. Oh, this side, this time definitely feels better than last time, but we'll see when I get to the end. That's 10 seconds gone. We're halfway. If you are doing the star version, I want you to think about pressing that foot up towards the ceiling as if someone is trying to push it down. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You guys are definitely keeping me accountable because I know you're watching. I am doing my very best. All right, that is our first strength circuit done. Awesome work. Let's move on to our second circuit. Getting into our second strength circuit, our first exercise is step downs. I love step downs, probably because they're really hard, but single leg strength is obviously really, really important in gymnastics, but it's also really a great tool for improving coordination, improving balance, and also helping strengthen all of the little stabilizing muscles in your knees and your feet and your hips. So absolutely love them. They're just an exercise that's heaps of bang for your buck. However, a lot of people will find that they get knee pain when they do single leg squats or single leg lunging exercises, or what we're doing, which is single leg step downs. So if you do have knee pain, I will give you some suggestions. But if you are getting knee pain with these, I would recommend getting your knees checked out, because ideally, if you haven't had a traumatic knee injury or some other pre-existing medical history there, we should be able to do some version of a single leg step down. That is my opinion as a gymnastics coach and personal trainer, not as a medical professional. Okay, So I'm going to show you on this box, which is about 20 centimeters. You can do this on a step, like stairs, or on the side of a ledge. You could do it on the edge of a curb. Obviously, don't do it in like a busy street. But that's just an example of the kind of like height we're looking for. But as you do get more advanced, I'm going to show you that we do need quite a height. So it might be, off the edge of a bench, or you could potentially do it off a chair, and I'll show you a few things to help make that nice and safe. Anyways, we're going to face forwards on the box. We're going to step 1 foot off the edge, and then we're just going to hinge at the hips. The bum goes backwards, knees go forwards, the shoulders go forwards, and we're going to touch and come back up. So you can come back up to standing, you can come back up to just a little stabilizer toe touch, or if you want to extend yourself, you can do a knee drive. But I want you to pay attention. I want arms out in front. So we're not just doing them with our hands on our hips and our arms waving around. I want us to try to keep our arms very steady as we do this. And I'm going to do one, I'm just going to change the angle of the box, because another thing I want you to pay attention to is the line that the free leg follows. So we don't want that free leg coming across the other side of the body. We want to keep it tracking on its normal movement path. Okay, so we're going to do 6 to 10 each leg, because ability and height really vary. That's why you've got a rep range for this one. So as with all of our other rep ranges, if you get to your top number, which is 8, and you go down and you can't get back up again, that's cool, you're done. However, if you get to 10 and you feel like you could do another 10, then we might need to try and go for a little bit higher. Now I'm going to show you the full version for me. I have been doing these for many, many years, and I do go through phases, we'll see how that height goes, where I do get a bit of knee pain with them. But I have a history of knee pain, and it generally means that I have neglected either my mobility or my leg strength. So at the moment, my knee pain is good, and so I can go, I can do quite a high height. So I'm probably going to do 6 each leg, and you'll see what the end goal is. I like to drop my arms as I do the knee drive, but when that foot goes down on the floor, we're trying to put as little weight on that foot as possible. I think that's 5. If you aren't used to doing exercises on a single leg that are a bit of a balance activity, you may actually find that you get pain or fatigue through your foot, the arch of your foot, maybe the sides of your ankles, which I do get as well. You're not doing anything wrong. It is probably just those stabilizer muscles aren't used to working so hard. 2, we're looking for really smooth descent, and then driving back up with power. I don't know if the microphone is picking up the noise my knee makes at the bottom there. If it is, I apologize. Okay, now we've got a tricky little exercise, dumbbell single arm Y raise. Very good for shoulder health, good for active mobility through your shoulders, which gymnasts definitely need, and I am someone where that is a weakness for me. And then I'm going to show you a few variations that can make it easier or harder. Let's go. Single arm Y raise with a dumbbell. I have got 2 kilos. The maximum I've ever done with this is 4 kilos. So you don't need heavy weights. 1 kilo will be fine. If you don't even have light hand weights, you can always use a can of beans, or you can use your drink bottle. Okay. okay? You're not going to need heavy weights. Generally, when we're doing things with straight arms, the resistance needs to be quite low. Okay, so we're going to set up. You can use a bench, you can use the couch, you can use the box. I'm going to use the red box we were using for our step downs. You're going to have same arm and same leg in line on the box, and then we're going to scooch your foot back a little bit. Then we're going to try to line up our shoulders and our hips, so we don't want to be tilting to the side. If you do have a incline bench or an adjustable bench, that is ideal. So I would suggest ideally doing this with the bench set up on a 45-degree angle and having your chest resting on the bench, because then it's really just isolating the arm, and it's a lot easier to ensure that you're not using your body to help with the movement, okay? But we don't have an incline bench here, so we're using a box. So as I said, scooch that foot back. We're trying to line everything up so we're nice and square, and then all we're going to do is we're going to pull the shoulder blade down towards our glute and then raise that dumbbell as high as you can, bring it back, and then relax. Shoulder blade towards your glute, raise the dumbbell as high as you can, bring it back. Quite a strict exercise. You can see that nothing else is moving except for my arm. When I get to the top, I'm imagining that there is someone pressing my hand back down, and I'm trying to resist that pressure. I think we're up to 6. We're going to do 7 to 12 reps. So I'm probably going to do, no, not 7, 8 to 12 reps, sorry. I'm probably going to do 8, because as I mentioned, this is a weakness of mine. I have a lot of weaknesses. Tend to talk about them more than I talk about my strengths. That's 8, and then we're going to swap it to the other side. So making sure everything is squared up. Hand under shoulder, shoulders in line, shoulder blade pulls down towards your glute, and then you're raising that arm up. You can relax after each rep, because this is likely to cause a fair bit of fatigue. Well, I definitely get fatigue. 6, 7. If you have a history of shoulder injury, 8. You may notice asymmetry, so that means one side is different to the other side. So I'll watch back on this video in a second and I'll see, but often with me, I have more range of motion on one shoulder than the other shoulder. And then I also have like better endurance on one side than the other side, better smoother movements, and more control, like motor control on one side than the other side. That isn't necessarily because of my injury, that's because my dominant side moves with more confidence than my non-dominant side. So those, you might notice a difference. It's not a big deal, but we always work or use the weight to the weaker side. I think I have mentioned that in one of my videos already, but we don't. So say your right side, you can do it with 4 kilos, your left side, you can only do it with 2 kilos. We're not using 4 kilos on our right and 2 kilos on our left. We're using 2 kilos on both to allow for that left side to catch up to the right side. Otherwise, the right side is always going to be ahead of the left, and we want to try to minimize those asymmetries. We want to try and get each side as close as possible to each other. One more exercise in this circuit, dumbbell dish lifts. The version that I'm looking for today is a dish shape. So a dish is head and shoulders off the ground, legs off the ground, turning your body into like a hollow position, or like the bottom of a dish. That's hence the name. Some people call it hollow. We're going to lie down on our back. We're going to hold the dumbbell vertical, extend the legs out, and we're just going to lift shoulders, head, and legs off the ground. Hold for 2, and that'll let everything touch back down again. We're going to do 10 reps there. Now, if you need regressions, bring it to tabletop and we just lift the head and shoulders. However, and obviously, decrease the weight or ditch the weight, okay? Like I said, we're doing 10 reps. I think I've done 3 in this version. If you would like progressions, obviously heavier weight, but the max version of this is arms behind head. So the goal is to keep those arms behind your ears, but get your head and shoulders off the floor. And I think that's 10 reps. And holy moly, the core is screaming. Okay, cool. Round 1 done of our second strength circuit. So we are back over to step downs. Okay. If you want to progress your step downs and you don't have more height, you can most definitely add a weight. Ooh, oh my goodness. So I can see the dumbbell over there, but we're into it, so I'm not going to go get it. Hold the dumbbell end in each hand. I like to bring it into my chest when I'm in the top position, and then I press it out as I go down. You can do it with, like I said, if you don't have a lot of dumbbell options, you can have cans of beans or your drink bottle. I've forgotten to count. Okay, we'll say that's 6. I'll show you now with the dumbbell. You can also use a weight plate. I very rarely do these with weight though. They are a pretty high level if you're doing a high version. If you're doing the low version and you can't get any higher, then yeah, give resistance a go. But, oh my gosh, so wobbly. I very rarely use weights when I do this. You can also do just a goblet position under chin, but as you can see, the knee does get close to the chin at the bottom. Okay, these are very wobbly, I'm sorry. Because I'm being challenged. I think that's 5. Oh, okay, Y raises. I'm just going to show you on the forward angle where my arm is going to with these. So it is called a Y because you are making a Y shape when that arm is overhead. So it's not in close to our ear. I do find the shoulder activation a little bit better when we do Y position. And obviously in gymnastics, we do a Y in our present, but in skills, we generally don't use that position, but that doesn't mean this isn't helping our overhead mobility for gymnastics. And strength in that overhead position. On the side, there is a harder version of this that does not include a heavier weight, but it's basically, let's see, you do opposite arm to leg, and then we're adding the Y raise. So a very challenging core exercise paired with that shoulder overhead strength. Into our fish lifts. Now I am working quite hard on my dish position strength for bars. So I have just gone and grabbed a 4 kilo dumbbell. But as I mentioned previously, you don't have to extend the dumbbell. If you're getting to 10 reps and you're feeling that core getting maxed out, do the version that suits you. But I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm very sorry because that means you guys are going to have to listen to me breathing heavy. Okay, here we go. We've got 10 reps. Making sure the key thing with dish is that back, that lower back is pressing into the ground. Obviously, if you're a gymnast, you can practice leg form, toe point. Ooh, cramp in my toes. Yay, round 2 done. We've got one more round of this whole workout. Let's finish it off. Do I challenge myself with a 4 kilo weight? Look, I've got to practice what I preach, don't I? Please don't judge me if they're a bit scrappy, okay? Because I don't normally do. I don't think I've ever, oh no, I have. I have done it with 5 kilos at one point in my life. Okay, here we go. There may be some grunting. 1, 2, trying to keep it smooth. 3, oh, no wobbles. 4, 5, 1 more. 6, woohoo! I'm pretty proud of myself. Let's see how the other leg goes. Quick breather. Okay, here we go. 1, whoop, 2, 3, 4, arms getting tight, 5, come on, woo, 6, woo, that was good, no knee pain too, love that. All right, why raises? Very sorry, because we're getting to the end and the breathing is getting a little bit heavy. Shall we do, we'll do the core version because we're challenging myself. Okay, so keeping the spine straight, we're not trying to get that leg up super high by tilting the hips. Squared up, shoulder and hip. Ooh, hamstring is awake. Here we go. 1, pressing up into that invisible hand. That's pressing down. Nice and strong through the supporting hand so we're not sinking. 6, 7, trying to press that a little bit higher each time. 8, we're going to do 10 this round. 9, woo, 10. Oh my gosh, getting sweaty now. Okay, other side. Everything squared up. Extend, here we go. See if I can do 10 on this side. This is the side that I have had multiple shoulder dislocations. So we have worked very hard to get back to the point where I have a stable position when my arm is overhead. 7, 8, extending that back leg nice and long. 9, 10. Ooh, 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 ooh. Feeling it. All right, we've got dish lifts, and then we're done. Let's finish strong. Got to finish with a challenge. We're gonna try 5 kilos. Wish me luck. Okay, just 10 reps. 2 more deep breaths, I reckon. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Here we go. 3. Working on that leg form while I'm here. 4. 5. 6. 7. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. 8. Uh-oh. Incoming. Last one. Let's max it out with a hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was a lot. Oh my gosh. Oh, dearie me. Well, I'm pretty exhausted. That concludes another follow along workout with me. Thank you so much for joining me. I am absolutely loving making these. And as I said, during that training session, having you watch me and having you do it with me is really helping me extend myself. I feel like I'm doing a better job. You guys are keeping me accountable, and I hope that on the flip side, you're enjoying watching me struggle. But enjoying the training sessions too. I encourage you to, give yourself a little bit of a challenge. A lot of the time we kind of get a little bit afraid of like extending ourselves because like, what if I can't do it? The great thing about strength training and resistance training, especially in these kind of workouts where we're not using really heavy weights, is you can give it a shot. If you only manage to do it for 1 rep and then you're not able to complete it again, that's totally fine. You just regress it back down again, but you've done that 1 rep that was beyond your previous capabilities. And if you are able to, then like you have extended yourself and you've grown to do something that you couldn't do before. And if you try something that's harder and you don't succeed, no problem. You just have to work for a little bit longer at the version that you're on. It's really simple. Try not to overthink it. Have fun. Put on some good music. You don't have to listen to me talk the whole time. You can just watch the screen, maybe invite a friend, or like me, I have my dog nearby and I feel pretty lucky that she saw me struggling and then congratulated me at the end of that workout. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe so that you don't miss any more of these follow along workouts. I am still doing my training vlogs and things like that. And I'm also posting a lot on TikTok, which is gymnast.fit. Please chuck me a comment if you enjoyed this workout, if you had any issues, if you have any suggestions or requests. Even just like if you did the workout, I want to know, because I can see views, but I don't know who's actually completed the whole training session. So please just let me know if you did the training session, because I want to congratulate you and thank you personally. Until the next workout video, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.